What's up, everybody? Can everybody hear us better now and see us better? I couldn't see any of the chat, so I apologize. Well, so yeah, I had a little bit of technical glitching playing around with StreamYard today. Let me know in the chat, Damio, Caleb, if you're seeing everything okay. We first thing we did was we had power outage yesterday. And that screwed some stuff up. And then I played around a little bit with my settings and StreamYard, and so it's been a little bit of an odyssey today. And we're drinking a little bit on a Sunday. So good, Caleb. Caleb, I sent you a link on Twitter, bud. If you want to jump in and join. So we'll give it a second to if Caleb wants to jump in. But we were just talking about what's up, Damio? So we want to talk about what we're drinking real quick. Give a little shout out to our. So
I don't.
Yeah, he's not going to talk about.
Not unless they start paying me. I don't.
Yeah, they start paying. So there's a local brewery. I like supporting the local breweries. This one's called Wiseacre Tiny Bomb Pilsner. So pretty good American Pilsner. So anyway, we were talking before. Decided to kill the stream and jump back in and go into the correct thing with StreamYard. We were talking about Matt Smith and how the rumored casting of him as Reed Richards. I don't think either one of us likes it. But the main reason you don't like it is just because I don't. You know more about Fantastic Four than I do.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be great as Reed Richards. You don't like it because you think it's going to take away from House of the Dragon.
Yeah, it's. I don't know how you guys feel, but like, when you're so. Yeah, the dead link. So we should be good now, right? Oh, dead link. Okay, Caleb, I'll send you a new link, buddy. Yeah, I think when he's got so much to do as Daemon Targaryen that, I'd rather see him finish this role and not take on something in the middle of this series that is going to be so synonymous with, like his face on Fantastic Four. Reed Richards is, I don't know. I just think I think it's an oversaturation thing. Right when the show is airing, I think it takes away from the performance as Daemon. That's just my 2 cents. Maybe not. Maybe he goes in and kills it. I tend to believe that the script is not that good because Margot Robbie. Yeah, Margot Robbie turned it down. I know we're deviating, but it ties back into House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones. I tend to believe that the script and what's up, Caleb?
What's up, guys?
Hey, sorry about
how's it going?
I was tinkering with the StreamYard a little bit. We had a power outage yesterday, and so today I was checking every device I've got. Because we had surges and all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah,
and so I was kind of like wasn't sure what was going to work or not work today. And then I was playing around with StreamYard because there's been some changes, and then we've changed as we're getting our Stream Deck just about ready. We're about a week away, so you can or can't see. We're slowly getting my Stream Deck lined up and ready to go.
Man, I've got 3 things on mine, and only one of them works. So I've got a lot to learn.
It's a lot of tampering around, and so yeah, we're. I was kind of ticked off that I couldn't stream last night, which is, when you're live streaming, we get the majority of our activity after the stream's done, and we get pushed out, and so we're averaging about 1,000 views a stream right now, which is good for us.
That's awesome.
But when you don't go on a consistent date, that hurts. So it's kind of like, we couldn't go last night. It was I think I texted you, Sterling, and said I'll let you know when the power's back on. Yeah. And for those that don't know, when you're in certain parts of the country where you deal with a utility company that is not good, not run well, it's painful. So anyway,
Oh, yeah.
got through that, and now we're back. So we were just talking about Matt Smith. Caleb, what do you think about Matt Smith being cast as Reed Richards in Fantastic Four, and how that could impact how viewers see him as Damon? Could that impact his work on House of the Dragon? What are your thoughts?
Well, I 100% agree. I think you've got, and this kind of goes for all actors and actresses. You've got a role that you are truly owning. That should be your focus. You shouldn't be exploring other possibilities. You need to put your entire heart and soul into that, because that's what's paying your bills, and that's what
Right.
fans are wanting to see. And I don't really see Matt Smith as Reed Richards. Honestly, what I'd like to see is them get Owen Grefford back to do it, but he's too old.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge Owen Grefford fan. I would love to see him come back, but
Who's
it
that?
won't
Is that
happen.
from the
he played Reed in the Fantastic Four movie, the first one they did.
The
with
first
the
two
Jessica
ones?
Alba and all them? Okay.
Yeah. And he also was in King Arthur.
Yeah,
Yep, he played Arthur. Oh, no, sorry, he played Lancelot.
He played Lancelot. Sterling had a great idea. Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead.
Yeah. I thought that would have worked.
See, that's interesting casting, and that's what we were talking about. Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. That's what they do. They cast characters. Game of Thrones. Just thinking about the casting of Game of Thrones, Jerome Flynn is Bronn, and I'm trying to think of the guy who played Jaqen, and all these supporting characters that become fan favorites, right? And so, not to mention, Nicola is Jamie, and Peter Dinklage is Tyrion. I mean, the casting was, I'm trying to think of anybody on the original 8 seasons of Game of Thrones that I did not like in casting. I can't think of anybody.
Renly. I wasn't a fan of Renly's actor.
Yeah, but he was in. I mean, how many episodes was he in?
That's
like
true.
6?
He's in 5 episodes?
Yeah, and he's dead.
Yeah.
My most underrated casting of the show was Stannis, the guy that played Stannis.
Oh, Stannis. Man, Dan loves Stannis.
Yeah, Stannis is great. I don't know. I don't know that there's anybody that actually, who's the actor that played Catelyn's, was it Catelyn's brother?
Edmure Tully.
That played Edmure Tully.
Yeah,
he played in he was in The Crown too.
He was in Rome.
Every time I see him, I think of a young Chevy Chase.
He was really good in Outlander. His character was wild in Outlander. And he played 2 different characters of the same lineage, but that was the only one in Game of Thrones where I just played Roose Bolton. Absolutely, man. He was awesome. And that was one of the few things in Game of Thrones that I didn't like. It was necessary, I get it, but I didn't like his end to Ramsay. I didn't like it. I thought Roose was smarter. I know he was arrogant, but I feel like Roose he would have seen that coming.
He just stabbed him at the dinner
yeah, he
table.
stabbed him in the dinner hall.
It's hard to see.
Yeah, I would have preferred,
Yeah.
getting pushed off a ledge somewhere. Something a little more out of Roose's control.
That's the thing with a great show. You have a lot of nitpicking. Before you.
But that's what's so great. I'm actually about to drop a video about. So today is my 7th year anniversary of being a Westeros guy.
Today is also, I believe, the 6-year anniversary of what?
I don't know.
Do you know?
No, what is it?
6.
I believe it's the 6-year anniversary today of Spoils of War, when Daenerys Targaryen and Drogon.
Okay, it better be 7 because I said 7
and
in
the
the video.
Dothraki.
I really needed to be the 7th anniversary.
Take on the Lannister army.
Was I
And,
wrong about the
6 years
date?
ago. Wow. That's great. That's
So
a good
I think it's
episode.
to the day today, 6 years.
I thought it was 7.
Maybe it was 7. We could look
I
it up
really
and
hope
see.
it's 7 because otherwise my math is wrong. Well, no, it's 6.
There you go.
I guess I have to hold on to this video for a year.
Yeah, there you go. But you know, which again, people complain about 7 and 8. I get it, and I have the same issues. The issues are, but we know we've talked about them to death. It happened on the back end with HBO and the negotiations with Benioff and Weiss, and them not getting the money they wanted, and so they cut the whole thing short. And to play into that, I wanna share my screen real quick. So everybody, let me know that you can see this. I want to talk about Varys himself, Conleth Hill.
Oh yeah, I saw this article.
Again, one of the best characters, and I hated how he was built over 7 seasons, and then what happened to him ended up happening. And now Conleth Hill has come out and he's talked about it. This is out of Variety. Game of Thrones actor Conleth Hill grew frustrated with the show's rushed final season and botched character arc. I was inconsolable. So, he says in here, I thought I'd done something wrong. Right up until the last 2 series or the 2 seasons, I had no complaints at all. I just felt frustrated with the last couple of series because Varys wasn't the all-knowing character he had been. I think the writers wanted to do one thing to end it, and the studio HBO wanted to do another. I felt the last series was a bit rushed. I was inconsolable, but now I'm fine about it. And it talks about the fans, not agreeing. Amelia Clark, talking back a couple of years ago about getting why people were upset. And I wanted to cover that because if you remember when they had the table read, what's up, Breezy's Comics? Venger, what's up, Venger? If you guys remember, they had the video of the table read of the script, and Conleth Hill, you could tell he was pissed. Like, if you go back and look at that video, he's like, what is going on? Like,
And you get burned alive.
yeah, like just it's and of course Amelia is, you could tell she's trying to keep a game face on, and Kit, which I do believe Kit saying that he was the one guy on the whole cast that would not read. Did you hear this? He would not read the scripts until he got there. So everybody else would read their lines in their script. And then they would show up for the first table read, and Kit would never do it because he didn't want to know ahead of time what was going on. He wanted to kind of find out live at the table read. I think I believe that. Some people might call BS on that. I tend to believe that's kind of Kit's personality. And so you see on his face when he learns some of the things that happened to wrap it all up, Kit's like, what? He's blown, like, who killed the Night King? Who kills Daenerys?
Oh yeah.
But Conleth, they really did Conleth bad. They did Varys bad because this was the smart. I know Littlefinger was manipulative and smart, but nobody in Game of Thrones was smarter than Varys. Nobody. Like, Varys was one step ahead from day one. And all of a sudden, he's stuck in this situation where he's like, I don't know what to do. I've been caught talking to Jon about this and treason, and I guess I just need to face my fate. Like, I didn't buy it.
And didn't he sign his name on that letter?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He was, when they went to apprehend him, he was writing, right? He was sitting at the desk and writing. But him talking to Jon and talking to Tyrion, and Tyrion saying, "I'm sorry, you're a friend," and because he saved Tyrion, he saved him. Yeah. And so you're going to tell me that Tyrion plots to have Daenerys ended? And I know that Tyrion at that point in the story was still in on Daenerys, but he was starting to waver a little bit, but not as bad as he was after she burned King's Landing. I get that, but he still was loyal to Varys, and I just didn't buy it. That was part of that when you're rushing the last season and a half, because I think there were parts of 7 and 8 that worked well. But when you're rushing those last 2 seasons, I think that Varys was one of those characters that like just it sucked the way it ended because can't bring him back. He was burned to a crisp. So he's not in Volantis going to be resurrected by the Red Priestess. So yeah, it sucks. But Conleth Hill, Barristan Selmy, he was angry about that.
I felt like that was probably a huge departure from the books. I mean, we don't know yet because
Well,
he was still alive.
So that's another thing. People have been speculating, because this is the Hand of the King, so we're going to speculate and talk about all things Game of Thrones.
Absolutely.
People are speculated that George has made multiple comments about how he's written himself in a corner. Any Game of Thrones fan has heard George say that in interviews and online. He's written himself in a corner and he doesn't know what to do. And I got a thought about he's talking about a character that he killed.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs to bring them back for certain plot points. Do you have any thoughts as to who you think that is, Caleb? That he wrote himself in a corner with?
Well, I mean, I feel like the most obvious one would be Jon, because with there being no functioning male Starks out there. I mean, I know we know what's his name still alive, but we have no idea where he is.
But he told the creators that I don't think that's it. He told the creators or Benioff and Weiss that Jon was going to die and come back, right? Like,
so this is beyond the storyline that we all kind of know that he's already created.
So Nikki, that's one of the couple of contenders. It could be Catelyn Stark.
But we've got 2 books since she's come back.
I think it's Kevin Lannister. I think it's Kevin Lannister.
Was it a character that he killed that
we don't
know about?
Nikki, it's her favorite episode in Game of Thrones. That tells you how much I've gotten to know Nikki. Didn't Kevin Lannister die in the season finale of season 6?
Yeah, he's in the Sept Baelor with everyone else.
So
in the book, Varys comes back and kills him.
Right, Varys killed because he said you're too good. You're too good, right?
Yeah, you're fixing everything too quickly.
Yeah, that's right. So I think that's where he screwed up. I think he needs Kevin Lannister for the story moving forward. Venger. Varys kills him. Basically, you're too good at ruling or being in charge, and it spoils Varys's plans, right? The spider's plans. So, so I think it's Kevin Lannister. That's because there's
even a POV character.
No, I think when you're writing a story, this is why I think it's the case. It's someone like that, or it's Kevin. There's plot points around who's ruling, the storyline around King's Landing, and what's going on there, and especially with Cersei. So I think Kevin is one that fills some holes for him. That if he's not there, he's got problems. But that's just my theory. It could be Catelyn Stark, but that's just
she's been resurrected in the books though.
Yeah, in the books he brought her back as Lady Stoneheart. So I tend to think because he mentioned again, like in an interview like a few months ago, someone had mentioned about the writing himself into a corner, and he said, yeah, the Ronnie says fire Caleb.
Thanks, Ronnie.
He mentions about that it caused him to rip up a bunch of pages, which I tend to think George trolls a lot. Like he knows the fan base goes wild when he says, well, I had to scrap 200 pages. That is true. Lady Stoneheart functionally can't fulfill the same roles that a live living Catelyn would. So there's problems around that. But,
so she's in charge of the Brotherhood Without Banners now. So it can't. So the answer can't be Beric. That would be a very interesting person to be upset about having killed Beric Dondarrion. What about? I can't really remember the chapters. What about all of the stuff that happens in Dorne? Anyone in there?
I don't know
Because
what.
Dorne needs to play a role.
George, yeah. To answer Venture real quick, George was pissed about the Lady Stoneheart thing, and Nikki, or Caleb, someone may be able to correct me. I think he also was upset that they didn't bring in fake Aegon or Griff.
Yeah, they completely cut him.
Yeah,
didn't they?
I think he was definitely upset about Lady Stoneheart.
They actually had a good excuse for that, though. Is that they didn't want it to take away from the Jon Snow resurrection.
Right. Yeah.
So people would actually be surprised when he came back.
Yeah, we haven't really,
Aegon.
Aegon.
I love it. I really love that.
Yeah. We haven't really heard about, because people have, other than his delay in writing the books, which is the big reason why people
You're talking about all this stuff, and you're never going to know anyways, because he's never going to finish the books. So it's a waste of time even talking about it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, he did show up at the Barbie movie with a pink bow around his neck.
I'm glad he's got his priorities
He's
straight.
got time to go see Barbie. Maybe he'll write a character like Ken, and maybe he'll cast Ryan Gosling as
Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling could be Targaryens. They got the look.
Yeah, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling can keep the bleached hair and show up in House of the Dragon or Aegon the Conqueror.
Yeah, he'll
Ryan
be
Gosling,
Aegon and she'll be one of the
there.
sisters.
Ryan Gosling, Aegon the Conqueror. You know what? that would piss me off.
Going big budget, no expense spared.
If they went with Ryan Gosling, who got his start at the Mickey Mouse Club. Did you know that?
Yeah, but I mean, he's A-list.
Do you guys all know that Ryan Gosling? So, do you know the 4 people in the Mickey Mouse Club originally when he was there?
How old is he?
Oh, 40.
So
43 or 44, I think.
Would it be Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, him, and
Caleb's about to get this right.
I know much later Selena Gomez was in it. But beyond that, I don't know.
Justin Timberlake.
Okay. I didn't think Justin was that old.
So that's your Aegon the Conqueror, the guy from Barbie. That got demasculized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
Ryan Reynolds started the Mickey Mouse Club.
Did you watch it? I never saw it.
No, I just know.
Oh,
I mean, the whole Timberlake, because he's originally grew up where we are, so where we grew up. So
you're letting everybody know where we're from.
Yeah, they're not gonna hunt us down.
But when we piss people off and a year from now on something, they're gonna know exactly where we're at.
I mean, they haven't showed up to Coach or Nick yet, and they practically tell everyone where they work.
Yeah, I know. I saw today on the stream. Coach jumped in.
I'm
he was doing the giveaway, and Nick was like, "What are you doing?"
Man, he blew up at Coach. That was hilarious.
I love Nick. Nick's a trip, man. So I think it's Kevin Lannister. That's just my guess. I don't have anything behind it other than just usually when someone says I did this and I wish I could take it back or change it. It's, you kind of have these thoughts in your head of like these main characters, but I think it's usually somebody that is a supporting character that serves a function within the plot device where you're going. And all of a sudden you go, who could I slide into that to be able to progress the story?
Could they not just easily replace him with Alana's son? I can't remember if he's as crazy in the books as he is in the show.
I don't think so.
I think Alana calls him a sweet summer child.
Yeah, I was looking here at some of the comments. Starteffects.com. Move over Tyrion. Game of Thrones fans believe there's a better hand of the king. Kevin Lannister is a very interesting character. But
I really liked him in the show.
Beric
too, yeah.
Yeah, Beric's an interesting choice.
Yeah, he went and did I think it was in between like, ooh, it might have been just before he got cast in Game of Thrones. He went and did a show for Amazon called Fortitude.
But
That had
Barrett
a
died. Barrett. So
Bear's killed and brought back. He's
well, but no, I'm thinking about the book
in
versus
the book. He
series.
dies in the epilogue or the prologue to I think the third book.
Yeah.
does he die for good in the books too?
In the
Oh yeah,
series,
he
in the
gives up
series
his
he dies
life.
at Winterfell with Arya.
Yeah, in the
Picking
the
Arya.
books he gives up his life to bring Catelyn back as Lady Stoneheart, and that's why she takes over the
So
Brotherhood.
he kind of
without
played
banners.
Lady Stoneheart's.
Barrick is
spot
not a
then.
bad guess, Venger. Barrick is not a bad guess.
The
I
only
like-
reason I don't think it works is because you can just if the goal of using the Brotherhood without banners as a plot device is to enact vengeance for the Starks and the Baratheons, then she can still do that. So it doesn't. That's why I don't think it's Barrick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I just thought that was, interesting, food for thought. Let's talk next about something I think I was wrong on, and I covered it in a video in our last stream, because the wall does not feature in Fire and Blood during the Dance of Dragons. I thought the footage that was initially shown, and I looked at images and didn't kind of zero in on it. The Hound status is unknown in the books yet. Yeah.
Oh,
I actually liked his story arc in the show, though.
The
I thought that
Hound?
was
Badass
one of the
story arc.
best ones.
Listen, that guy
One
didn't
of the
have
few good ones.
What's his name? Rory, that plays the Hound. Rory McCann. That guy had a great story. I think he was living out of his car right when he got the job. I mean, he was dead broke, and that guy didn't have one scene that I can remember in Game of Thrones where he didn't steal the scene, kick ass. Like every scene he was in,
He was in another movie with
he's fantastic.
there's one. The only scene that someone outacted him in is when the keeper of the Bloody Gate says that her aunt died 3 days ago, and Maisie Williams outacts him in the laughing at him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Macy, she was very little when she started on the show, and
Yeah,
I think we
crazy
haven't seen
now.
her best acting yet.
Oh, she's a little crazy now, though.
Sometimes they peak young. Like some
Yeah,
of those
well,
child
she may
actors,
listen.
some of
It's tough. It's tough being. I mean, she's a child actor on a show that was a very adult show, and
Mhm.
that's tough to. It's going to be tough for her. I've seen her in some things. She was in the British series, I think limited series that was around the Sex Pistols, and she played one of the artists. That
Doesn't it
hung
make you
around them.
feel so old though when you see them now and they're all adults and you're
Yeah.
But it's then she was in the
God.
Mutants, the New Mutants. That they even release it at the theater? They delayed it for like 2 years.
Wait, it was a movie? I thought it was a TV show.
The New Mutants
Yeah.
was a movie.
Oh, I thought it was a TV show.
The one with Macy Williams?
Yeah.
Didn't it have the guy that
That was
played Ramsey Bolton too?
Yeah,
Yeah, he
that's
may have been in
Immortals.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't even know if it I didn't even know if it got released. I wasn't sure.
So let me
So, the Mutants, the New Mutants or whatever, it was on it got onto Hulu.
yeah.
Was it a movie or a TV show though?
I thought it was a TV show.
Yeah, I saw Mars Needs Max. I saw it on HBO first. I don't know that they ever released New Mutants at the theater. Someone could hell of my voice. I saw it at the HBO first. I think they either didn't release it in the theaters and it went to HBO Max during the pandemic. Was it theater released? Okay, if it was
Wow.
not there long.
Nope.
But they just dumped it. So yeah, Star Wars Marvel purists. I thought maybe they did put it out, but it was quick because it was on. It was a COVID movie. Yeah, but it was bad. So let me share my screen for a second because I want to cover something that's
Real quick, what if it's Lysa? What if he's upset that he killed Lysa Arryn? Because I mean, she was the head person for the most I mean, I know people say the North is the biggest, the Lannisters have the wealth, but the Knights of the Vale are some of the most powerful soldiers in Westeros. And they have the most grain, and they're the most protected house. So what if she's upset? What if he's upset that he killed Lysa?
maybe.
That'd be interesting.
I'm sticking. I think Kevin
I
Lannister.
thought that was a great part of the show,
and it could be.
Oh,
Kevin.
yeah, absolutely
He
loved
kicked her
that
through
she
the sky
died.
door, right? Or didn't
Yeah.
little
He
finger just push her off.
Littlefinger pushed her in there because of Sansa.
Yeah, they shouldn't change that. That was a great scene.
So we're gonna get a bigger, more adult Vermax in season 2. Have you seen the concept art here? Or
I have not.
Is that fan art or is that actual?
This is
That just looks like one of the dragons from
so
Game of Thrones.
adult
the original.
Vermax. It's been almost a year. This is according to Winter's Coming. Sorry, winterscoming.net. So it talks about we saw a lot of dragons in the first season. We're expecting to see more in season 2, but there'll be some returning dragons such as Syrax and Caraxes for Daemon and Rhaenyra. We will also be getting upgrades for season 2 since they're grown up now after the first season's time jump. So when we last saw Vermax, correct me if I'm wrong, he's training with a younger Jace. So we're now going to see a more adult Vermax.
Why?
Well, because Jace
the whole thing's 2 years long. How much bigger can Vermax get?
No, because Jace aged like what? The show jumped 10 years. It jumped. You know, when
did we not see Vermax and Jace and Luke and I forget his dragon both fly off together?
I don't know. Someone chime in and say if we did. I know we saw Vermax in the training exercise.
You did. You saw them both. They went. Jace is the brother that lived, right?
Yeah, Jace is alive, and he's heading. Heading to the Eyrie and to Winterfell.
Yeah, they both
and
flew
possibly
off.
the Wall.
They both flew off in separate directions. You see it at the very, very end.
But we are seeing the artwork is credited to creature designer Constantine Sakaris, who worked on the first season of House of the Dragon. Sakaris previously shared concept art of dragons like Syrax that he did for season 1. The new artwork is not up on the artist's Instagram like some of the previous ones, but from the sound of things, it was posted, then taken down, possibly because Sakaris wasn't supposed to share behind-the-scenes images for season 2 just yet. Nonetheless, the images show that Vermax has got a pretty. Now, this could, if chime in, if in the chat, if they did show him flying off on a smaller dragon at the end once they've aged, and we have the Jace that we're going to have in season 2, but this dragon is not the same size as when he was training in season 1 as a little kid.
Who has the red dragon?
Caraxes, that's Daemon.
Who of the two brothers whose dragon is? I think it looks red to me. There's a gold dragon down here and a red dragon, and they're both flying away from Dragonstone. So I guess the question is, which dragon does Vhagar eat?
Vhagar ate Arax. The Arax wasn't red though.
It looks red in this image.
One that you're looking at right now, it looks green.
No, this is definitely Vermax.
Yeah, let me see
100%.
if y'all can. Okay, yeah, y'all should be able to see this.
So let me stop sharing.
Oh, it doesn't like. I don't think it likes that I'm. Yeah, it didn't like that I started sharing it. That's weird. Okay.
So, Arax. Avenger says Arax.
So if that's who was that? Who was the dragon you were talking about?
Arax does have a little bit of red.
Okay, so
that's
Arax
is
Luke's dragon.
Arax is in pieces.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at I'm sorry, what was his name? Vermax.
Vermax.
Vermax. So I'm looking at Vermax here, and he's smaller than Arax is. So he shouldn't get that much bigger, right?
Well, he is.
Okay.
You just saw that.
I guess we get some dragon lore.
Yeah, and it's going to be the fans that says Maelys and Rhaenys flew with Jace on Vermax and Luke on Arax. That's right. That's right. Vinger's right.
And I just tried to take a picture of it, and I can't.
Yeah, so this is one of those things where for the show and for what they're doing in season 2 and the battles, I'm going to watch it and I'm not going to have a problem with it. But if you're right, if the time is like, wait a minute, these dragons live hundreds of years.
Technically, that dragon shouldn't be that big.
And people are going to be pissed about that. But not me. Look, I'll give them the leeway to do it if they think it serves the story.
Of course, the good thing is if all we've seen is one shot in between a really small dragon and a big dragon, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a continuity issue, but it's better than, completely changing the lore of a single character in one episode and him being burnt to death because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, Mars Needs Max said, Sundown, I wanted to correct myself on the last show. You asked if I was a Doctor Who fan. I said I wasn't, but I'm a fan of the old show and the series Matt did, but not the new one. So Caleb will be getting his autograph box either Wednesday or Friday this week.
Super excited.
I'll have to have Caleb tell us on these autograph boxes. It says series 1 through 4, and it has Mr. David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston on the cover. So I'm assuming this Doctor Who will only be the first 2 Doctors. So Caleb will tell us because he will open his.
I have a confession to make.
You've never seen Doctor Who?
I've never seen Doctor Who.
That's okay.
So I feel like that show's been going on for.
Yeah, so it's hitting its 60th anniversary, I think.
Yeah, it started the 60s.
It's a little late to get in the game now.
But the early versions before they started with Christopher Eccleston and brought it back, you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, you don't. So what happened was, he's got 11. The Time Lords have 11 regenerations, and the first 8 of them or technically the first 7 are the original TV show from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Yeah. And then the 90s, they made a TV movie with Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor. And that ends with him turning into the War Doctor, which goes back to Gallifrey to participate in the Time War between the Time Lords and the Daleks. And then season 9, or the 9th Doctor, is who we see in the 2005 series with Christopher Eccleston. You look like you're ready to fall asleep.
So if you wanted to watch it, when would you start watching?
Just watch the new show. This one, 2005. Yeah, I would start with Christopher Eccleston.
So 2005 and beyond really is all it's.
And then I'd end with
Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi.
Yeah. From what I've seen, what they've done in the past, I'm glad I missed that one.
You don't need to watch.
They've already ruined it, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you watch with Eccleston and Tennant and Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, that's a good 7, 8, 9 seasons, right? That's
I think it's 9 or 10 seasons,
and that's
that's probably 100 episodes.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah. It's and there's actors that came out of there.
Can't do that.
I'm trying to think of the girl. There's actors that have come out of it. The girl that plays in Guardians of the Galaxy plays Nebula.
Yeah.
Karen Gillian.
Karen Gillian, my favorite redhead.
She was
from Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, that's right. Yeah.
She played Amy Pond.
And then the other girl that's been in some
Maisie Williams is in it.
Yeah, so it's really good. I like it. It's not for everybody, but it's got a big following. And but yeah, so Vermax, we'll see how people react to that. But I mean, look, they're going into battle, and so you go into battle with a small dragon. We already saw the results of that. We already saw in season 1 that took about 3 minutes of hiding around in the clouds, and as soon as the clouds cleared, Vagar
Small
chopped the
dragon's
hell
fine
out-
versus no dragon. It's just when you have
Yeah.
against a big dragon. it's a
Well,
problem.
and look, I mean, as far as getting away, if Arax had not felt threatened and attacked, and had stayed below with the rocks, and where Vagar couldn't get to him,
that was
could have made it back.
I thought that was a great scene though. That was
Oh my gosh, when he came out of the clouds, I remember just jaw dropped.
Yeah,
that was one of the coolest scenes I think in all of Game of Thrones.
There was no other dragon scene any moment that was as bad as that one. That was awesome. Like,
yeah,
good.
And we have more to come. But so I do want to cover the mistake I made when I talked about the wall. The Unboxed PhD had put out some stuff about the wall, the shots of the wall, and we did a video on it this week. But the wooden planks that you see, and let me see if I can pull it up here while we're talking about it. I thought it was Winterfell because the wall does not feature in Dance of the Dragons and Fire and Blood,
right?
But clearly, it is the wall, and they're going to be going there. So they have drone footage of that. Have you seen it, Caleb? Have you seen my video?
I have not, because you start talking about a overhead shot of Aemon with some execution, and I was like, "Oh, sounds like a spoiler. I can't watch this right now."
Yeah. So let me see if this see what this shows. I don't want to get to a copyright issue, but yeah. So we all
sorry. Go ahead.
We all know what the wall looks like, and let me see if I can find the shots here.
This should be a pretty strong Night's Watch, shouldn't it?
So let me share my screen, and we will see it. So you see here, I'm not going to hit play on this and show the video, but you see the wooden planks on the top of the battlements, and in Winterfell you've got stone. It's stone that they're walking around. Mm-hmm. This is clearly the wall, and so the fact that they built that on the set in England on the backlight, we're going to be going to the wall in some form. Now, it could be a flashback. It could be something having to do with Jace. But Unboxed PhD, credit to Unboxed PhD brought drone footage. It's Unboxed PhD. He or she is the same person that had footage of Aemon scenes being shot at King's Landing.
Flew his drone into the movie set. Like
he flew the drone in the movie set.
That's hilarious.
And what was funny was, and I don't want to pull it up, but there was another drone that had a huge camera on it that he or she found out was the production company filming. So they were like, okay, that's a little bit better drone setup than I have, but so they're filming some overhead shots. Mm-hmm. But it begs the question, when you deviate from the book, and people that know or have read Fire and Blood, this book covers the history of the Targaryens is basically recorded by the Maesters. And I think Dance of Dragons is like maybe, Caleb, what is it, about this much of the book?
Yeah, isn't it like about 3 chapters?
Yeah, it's about like that.
Yeah.
So there's room to maneuver. I don't think it's going to tick anybody off unless it's like a huge deviation. But it's either a flashback, or which could set us up to the Aegon the Conqueror series. It could be a little bit of a flashback that leads into that Aegon the Conqueror series. If you know,
so what's all in Fire and
dragons
Blood,
that don't like to fly beyond the wall.
What's all in Fire and Blood though? For
it
us
is
who haven't read the book?
Starts with Aegon's conquest. So Aegon conquering Westeros minus Dorne.
So House of the Dragon is only a few chapters of that.
Oh yeah,
book?
it's like
wow,
yeah, maybe 100 pages. this chapter, for example, is called The Regents.
And they're gonna get what you think 3 or 4 seasons out of that.
They'll get 4 seasons because the storylines are so big,
Mhm.
And the impact that it made to the Targaryens. But yeah, this is it's a 706 page book, which is pretty short for George R. R. Martin. But Venger says when filming in Game of Thrones in Ireland, people were flying photo drones, but security guards were shooting them down with air rifles.
That's awesome. I'd love that job.
Says Marzies Max, I just want to let you know I'm listening, but I'm polishing a 4-foot brass pot on legs. So,
is that a euphemism?
Yeah. We have steaks downstairs that I still haven't eaten. We haven't eaten yet, so as we're drinking and getting started. So,
oh boy,
but
can't let those get too cold.
The wall. So I don't mind it if it serves the story, right? But I know some fans that will have problems with any deviation. Like if Jace, how's that going to work if it involves Jace? We know Jace goes to the Eyrie, right? And we know Jace goes to Winterfell. And does it somehow involve the wall?
I think it's probably
the wall.
Easy. Yeah, so that's what I think you would do. I think because the book is written by the Grand Maester or Archmaester who is taking accounts, or those chapters are written by the Archmaester who is taking accounts from 3 different sources. As long as you have Jace show up back to King's Landing and don't say to any of the 3 sources, which one of them is not even in the show right now, hey, I went to the wall, then that's fine.
Then it becomes an experience with Cregan and Jace.
Yeah, and it's just not in the book. It's not in the history text.
Yeah. Breezy's kind of a biased account. Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of one of those.
So shows the real what really happened.
That's what's so cool about this. So George has basically created, canon used to always be the written account, but by making part of your story a history book that we can't trust, you create the TV show that's going to be canon. I think that's a really interesting thing he's doing.
And you make a lot more money in the process.
That's true.
Smart move.
And repair the fandom.
So, Venger, I believe there's a rumor that a Stark girl will try to seduce Jace away from his betrothal. Yeah.
Did that happen or no? Were they adding that?
So
you've
I don't want to give anything away. I'll just say that in Game of Thrones, we met Jon Snow, and Snow is the name of a bastard.
Any bastard from the north, right?
Yeah, yeah, because of the snow. That's the. So we're gonna see another Snow in House of the Dragon. It's gonna tie into Jace.
Really?
And I believe she's already been cast. I don't know. It's not like official. They haven't said for sure, but there's an actress that popped up in terms of being cast in House of the Dragon. I haven't done a video on that yet, but I believe that actress is playing a Snow. So I don't want to give anything away based on that, but yeah. So Jace is trying to build allegiances for the war, and his betrothal can become an issue. You saw it already when Luke showed up at Storm's End, and he says, "You've got, little pup, you've got nothing to offer." Basically, I think he talks to Luke about marrying one of the daughters, right? And he's like, "I can't," and so he's stuck. So whenever you're making these alliances within the world of Song of Ice and Fire and Westeros, and the betrothals are huge, and where George gets his inspiration, which is around Brittany and the what is now present day England, Ireland, Scotland, and Spain, and those are, obviously betrothals kept people from going to war, and created alliances that created peace and prosperity. So he's George writes in that way. So those are critical things. And so, yeah, there will be some things around Jace that come into play around marriage that we saw in Game of Thrones. Sometimes it works out to your advantage, and sometimes you show up at a fake wedding and get your throat slit and get stabbed, and everybody dies.
Jeez.
So, well, it did, right?
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how they play that out, because I think you're right, Caleb. Like, they can go to the wall. There can be doesn't have to be a flashback. It can be an experience where, you've got Jace and Cregan Stark. I don't see any reason why Jace would be at the wall without Cregan, unless it's a flashback. I mean, it's not like he's not passing the wall to get to Winterfell. That's not possible.
Right.
So,
is there any reason the Warden of the North would go to the wall?
I don't know. I mean, it's not in Fire and Blood, so we'll see. I do think that's an interesting choice that they're making, going to the wall, and which makes me think that could that lead to a new series that would be coming out? Could it be something that links to
series, or
Aegon the Conqueror? The prophecies and all the things like that, or it could be the Snow series. I mean, you don't know. I don't.
Yeah, because they've got to keep this stuff fresh for us.
It wouldn't have any.
We can't go forgetting
the Duncan Egg. It wouldn't have any bearing on that, but it could on the Snow series or Aegon the Conqueror, around the prophecies and around the dragons with the wall and the history there. It could be a flashback, but I just think it's fascinating. We did a video where we covered some of the footage that Unbox PhD showed, which is pertinent to House of the Dragon. That's why we covered it. And so I think it's interesting, but nonetheless, we'll see what happens. So let's talk real quick. For those that know and don't know, let's talk a little bit about Direwolves, which is one of my favorite things around Game of Thrones. And I was reading this the other day, and I really liked it. It was on Game Rant. What happened to the Direwolves? And so the symbolism of the Direwolves, portraying that the threat of the White Walkers has returned, and a symbol of the North. So I really like this article. Was written by Carola Dagger, Dagar. Hopefully I'm saying that right. On Game Rant, talked about Direwolves become the symbol of strength, loyalty, and untamed nature of the North in Game of Thrones. Faithful companions to the Stark children. So the journeys of the different Direwolves, they roam the lands of Westeros, and talking about the unexpected return to Winterfell in the Game of Thrones pilot episode, which we all know that the inspiration for Song of Ice and Fire started with what, Caleb?
The War of the Roses.
Well, yeah, the larger picture, but you know where George's first idea that he put on paper came from, or his first thought that he had in his head that became Game of Thrones?
No.
It was the scene of them finding the Direwolves.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
That idea came into his head, which became this whole saga. It started with Ned Stark's character with his boys, and they find these direwolf pups abandoned, or
one for each member of
right.
the Stark family.
And that turned into his story, which I really think is really cool. But a symbol of House Stark. So the sigil, which we know is the wolf, we know that we will see in House of the Dragon towards the end something called the Hour of the Wolf, which might be, they do it right, one of the baddest ass, episode or two that is out there affiliated with Game of Thrones. I'm excited to see that, how it all plays out. So, we hear in this article, they talk about the pilot episode, stumbled upon the direwolf pups. Each of the Stark children was given, of the boys and the girls, were given one of 5 pups. Jon Snow found the 6th pup from the litter, which became Ghost. And so, let's real quick, the journeys of the direwolves. So, I'm not going to read through all this, but let's let's talk about some of them. So let's start with Ghost with John. We know Ghost survives, and the battle for Winterfell, Ghost got tore up.
Yeah,
Lost half an ear.
he's definitely the most relevant of all the wolves.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Ghost had a, I don't know why he didn't stick next to John or just go hide somewhere. I mean, I understand he wanted to fight, but it was that was a rough go of it. But he made it, and so we know that Ghost follows John with Tormund north of the wall. So as far as we know, to this day, we still have Ghost.
They lived happily ever after, him and John.
Yeah, John. Well, first of all, John abandoned him for like half of the season, and then finally at the end, he shows back up before he's leaving. He's like, "Oh, hey, buddy, like, could you take your direwolf with you wherever you go, John?" And he just abandons the thing. But so then we have Robb Stark, and Robb had Grey Wind. Things didn't end so well for Grey Wind or Robb.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because if you remember in the book, in the second book, when he's going around on his campaigns and Catelyn basically says, "Hey, you really need to keep Grey Wind with you because y'all have a bond, and if he doesn't like someone, you need to look at that."
Read the
And
signs, right?
he spends the entire time barking and growling at all the Westerlings. He spends the entire time barking and growling at the phrase. He knows, and Robb just ignores it.
Well,
Leaves him
Robb,
outside.
I know Nikki would probably chime in here. Robb got a little distracted.
Well,
Robb got extremely distracted.
all because he was afraid of not having an heir.
Well, that may be a part of it, but the other part of it was just
well, that's true.
Yeah. But
It's the
so
curse
Robb
we're
Stark
dealt with.
goes to the Red Wedding, and poor old Grey Wind was with him. And then, of course, we know Arya trying to free Grey Wind, couldn't do it. And, he's ultimately decapitated, and the head was sewn on the owner's body as a gruesome display of a victory of House Frey. So that was the end of Grey Wind. Then we have Sansa, and this one really sucked, but Sansa had Lady. Lady didn't do a damn thing.
Yeah, she died. She was the first one to die, right?
She was the first one to die because Nymeria bit Joffrey, protecting Arya, and Nymeria was smart. And Arya said, "Take off. You got to go." So Nymeria got the hell out of there. And then Robert Baratheon, on the request from Cersei, demands some sort of retribution for the injury to Joffrey. So Ned doesn't want him to do it. So Ned takes Lady out back, and that's the end of Lady. So then we have, before we get to Arya, let's talk about Rickon. There's a shot of Ghost, and John's finally nice to him at the end here, But let's talk about Rickon. So Rickon had Shaggy Dog.
It's the worst. He has the worst name.
The worst name for a direwolf, right? Because it's not a dog. So Rickon gets captured and brought to Ramsay. So House Umber betrayed Rickon, and so Shaggy Dog's killed, and the body and Rickon were delivered to Ramsay. Turns the direwolf into a fur rug, and so we lose Shaggy Dog. And then we have Arya, and Arya has Nymeria. This is another pet peeve that I had in Game of Thrones. Is I for sure thought that either during the Battle of Winterfell, I don't know about you guys, but I for sure thought that during the Battle of Winterfell, Nikki, do I know what Shaggy Dog really means?
No.
I don't. You're gonna have to tell us. The Wolves, Star Wars Marvel Purists, SJ, thank you. The Wolves almost identically matched each Stark's personality type. Yeah. In the book, Rickon is supposed to be in Skagos. Yeah.
So I had a conversation with Dan about that, and I'm not sure Skagos is confirmed. I'm pretty sure it's kind of headcanon right now that we all think that's where he is, but he's actually basically in between the 2 points. But Vanguard can tell me if that's right.
So
Shaggy Dog was a lawyer.
Yeah, Shaggy Dog was a lawyer, just like Caleb. So Nymeria, I was frustrated. Like Nymeria, just you have a scene with Arya, and basically says, "I know you know you're with your pack now, and go on." So Nymeria leaves. I thought, okay, Nymeria and the pack roaming the Riverlands, where they're going to show up and turn a tide or save art. Like I thought there was going to be more with Nymeria, and there was nothing. And I don't know whether
it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it was, because there are a lot of fans that loved Ghost and loved Nymeria. I mean, that's a part. It's like the Dragons.
When you look back though, like Ghost is the only one that really matters.
Yeah, because they didn't make Nymeria matter.
Yeah.
But Nymeria was am I wrong? Was Nymeria bigger than Ghost?
No, Ghost was the biggest after. It was Greywind, but I think Ghost became the biggest.
Yeah, Ghost got big, but
yeah, I think Arya's just shorter, so Nymeria looked bigger.
Yeah, Breezy's Comics, that's Ned Stark.
Plus Ghost, like is that not the best name for a white wolf?
Oh yeah.
Ghost, yeah.
I mean, that's just cool. All around. And he had he was an albino, so he had like the red eyes.
Yeah, when Ned talks about the cold winds come, the cold winds rise, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great scene with Sansa and Arya. I think they're standing on top of the battlements of Winterfell, possibly, but yeah, they're together. That's
Breezy said Ghost started as the runt, became the big. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Ghost was the runt for sure,
but he became the biggest.
Yeah, Nymeria was pretty damn big. You remember when Arya's standing there and Nymeria walks up to Arya?
Well, no, I mean, they were none of them were small.
None of them were small, right?
They were all big, but I mean, Ghost was the run of the litter.
SJ says looking up Shaggy Dog in the Urban Dictionary. I'm surprised.
Nikki told you what it was.
Okay.
She said, he was just trolling.
Avenger Sir Davos is sent to Skagos by Lord Manderley to look for Rickon and Osha. Skagos, inhabited by unicorns and cannibals. I'm frustrated by what they did with Nymeria, because I do think, you've got House Stark and you've got the Direwolves. It's a critical part of.
So you wanted to see him like show up at the battle.
I wanted to see Nymeria show up with a pack and rip.
So you want to know why that? You want to know the real reason why? Because
they didn't have the money to do it.
Because of budget.
Direwolves
were one of the most. Direwolves and Dragons.
Did you guys watch?
Were two of the most expensive things in that show.
Did you guys watch every single time David and Dan did interviews after the season? They bitched or talked about the cost of doing the wolves every single time I saw them or I watched any of their.
They
interviews.
would take a real wolf,
right? Which they have in Ireland. You go meet them. Did you remember they had those?
Yeah,
they had the wolves that were in the show,
and then they spend all their money just making them huge and then trying to make them fit in with the proportions of everybody else, and apparently that was very expensive. So
but that's okay, because Danny just forgot about the Iron Fleet.
See, they could do it now though, because I think they're
Iron Fleet.
I remember that. I think their budget's big enough now for future installments, hopefully, that they could that's why I would love a Jon Snow series. I think they could do a lot with
David and Dan were the same guys that were telling Amelia Clark about getting naked. They're like, you don't want to disappoint the Game of Thrones fans.
Oh, that's so weird.
At all.
She
didn't disappoint anybody.
These guys, David and Dan,
disappointed their parents.
It's really weird. Like they're just now coming out with something after Game of Thrones. It's been like 5 years.
What are they coming out with?
The 3-Body Problem.
Oh, that's right.
Netflix.
What is that? What's that?
I'm not an expert on it. Someone else would have to. It's
like a book series, isn't it?
Yeah, but
I think this one's actually finished.
Oh, this is their first project since Game of Thrones, because they've had 2 that have been canned, right?
1,000 Warships. Yeah, they have. Well, they did Star Wars for like a week, and then walked in and decided that, Kathy Kennedy was not their cup of tea.
And if Dave
So-
and Dan think you're bad,
Yeah, if David and Dan
if
can't
Dave
stand
and
you,
Dan
you
can't
must
ride
be-
your coattails, something there's a problem.
Oh yeah,
No coattails to ride here at Lucasfilm.
yeah.
Now,
let's
hang on
not-
there, Vingar, because when that happens in the book, we're going to see what really should have happened. And the magic of Winterfell is going to raise the dead Starks to defend them from the dead.
That'd be cool.
That's
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's another thing that the crypts.
So
Totally
if he
not
does, if he
utilized right.
finishes the books and they're just amazing and they're just way better than the show.
Yeah.
I would hope you could get some kind of adaptation, maybe even if it's animated or whatever, like a perfect 1-to-1 adaptation of the books.
What about a game?
That'd be hard to do.
I'll
though.
tell you, I like what y'all
They did
said
these
a
Telltale
while
games, they're
back,
they're lame.
that the reason they've decided to start doing these shows is so that, when they get up to that point of finishing Robert's Rebellion in like 20 years, they can just go into the new Game of Thrones series and do it right this time.
Yeah, I mean they have.
I say animation just because, like, if you look at a lot of there's some of the characters have art. I think it'd be perfect for like an animated series.
Mm-hmm.
Make it like violent, M-rated, but and then budget wouldn't be as much of an issue, so they could, when they needed to show Direwolves and dragons, they could do it. They could that's one way they could do like a perfect adaptation of the show or of the books,
Yeah, it.
because they're not going to do another live action. Like that's never going to happen. They're not.
Yeah,
gonna,
Breezy's. I've wanted a game like Witcher stuff or Game of Thrones. Why not? Like we
That'd
just
be cool.
saw.
You'd have to do like a character in his own.
They just did Hogwarts Legacy. Create a game
Yeah.
where it's open world. Like you can go into the pubs and the brothels and the King's Land and just roam around, and you can, open
be
world, lineage, battle strategy. You're right, Marzi's Mac. That stuff, like
That'd be cool.
that's a gold mine if they do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
I'm
game
not
that-
opposed to an animated series if it's done right. I'm not a
The
huge
game
fan
that
of
they did was
animated, but
it's the Telltale series, where basically you just kind of click and point on scenarios that happen, and it was kind of boring.
Yeah, it
uh,
doesn't look very great.
A Witcher style game in Game of Thrones would be incredible.
so we're gonna go for about another 20 minutes here. We're gonna go till an hour and a half tonight. But let me show you real quick. I'm gonna give some stuff away tonight, and these are things that I just bought, and I'm gonna give some of them away. So let me show you. Because
Yes, I agree, Breezy. Telltale sucks. They do suck.
Okay, you guys ready? And let me know what you think. So make sure it doesn't show any of my information here. I bought some pint glasses.
Oh, those are nice. Can I get those?
Sure. I have House Stark engraved. So you see the wolf on the pint glass. We have Targaryen. And we have one that's really cool. That's the map of Westeros engraved.
That's cool.
But
That
not
is
only did I do
amazing.
that, I think I got two of these McFarlane Toys Game of Thrones Iron Throne Room construction set.
Oh, I didn't know McFarlane had some Game of Thrones.
See this? Can everybody see it?
That looks
Oh,
awesome.
that's
Did you
neat.
buy that?
I bought two of them already.
That looks sweet.
So
I
tell you
love
what I'm gonna do.
McFarlane toys. They always have he always has some cool stuff.
Yep. So let me see. Stop sharing for a second. So what do you guys think? We got House Stark pint glass, House Targaryen pint glass, and the throne room set from McFarlane Toys, and the map of Westeros pint. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to give away 2 glasses, not 3. And I'm going to give away one of the McFarlane toy sets. So, because I'm going to keep one of the pint glasses for myself. I need to make sure. I may have ordered like 2 each, but I may have ordered 1 of each. So, just to leave me with 1. So, the next time I do a stream, I'm drinking out of a pint glass.
What is Breezy? Breezy wants you want the Start Cup, is what you're asking?
So, let's see first who you know, guys, I always want to go to who hasn't won something before. So, Damio, you haven't won anything yet, right?
Yeah, I don't think he has.
I'm pretty sure Damio, and Damio's a pretty loyal subscriber to several of the channels.
He's always here.
And Damio's, you know, so Damio, we'll start with you. Your choice. You get to pick a pint glass or the McFarlane toy set, or whatever they call it.
McFarlane toy set's probably worth more. I mean,
well, you never know. I mean,
if you're a value type of guy,
sometimes they're not. They're overpriced, and you don't know where to put them. And you get a pint glass, and you get to continually drink out of it.
You'll use the pint glass.
You will use the pint glass more for sure.
McFarlane toy set's worth more.
Yeah. So,
use versus value. That's what we're.
I know, Venger. I'm going to find a way to, because we're going to be going to England. The pint glass. So, Damio, what pint glass do you want? Stark, Targaryen, or Map of Westeros? The Map of Westeros is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it's actually.
I'm actually buying that when I get off this tonight.
See, you learn. For those that know, like, and for those that are going to watch this stream later, and you go, I should have been on there. I'm always giving stuff away, and I'm always looking for Game of Thrones stuff.
And there's never more than 12 people in the stream, so your chances of winning are.
Yeah, your chances are good
high.
Until that number starts to flip, and it will. So we once we get a consistent day or days that we stream, as opposed to just changing the.
And I'm actually here on a Sunday. That will rarely happen.
Yeah, that'll rarely happen. So we normally will go on a Saturday or Wednesday or Thursday. So just depends.
And normally Sundays where all the good stuff comes on, people will be.
So Damio, tell me which pint glass do you want? Map of Westeros, Stark, or Targaryen? And then let's see who else do a math contest.
Oh, the map! Wow, I would have thought the fire guy wanted Targaryen.
Dude, the map, I looked at it, and they had a map of. Was it the wall? No, it may have been everything, but the Westeros one caught my eye. I really like it.
Gatekeeper wants a map.
So he wants the map. So you got it. It's yours.
It's probably the best.
So you send me. Are you following us on Twitter? Sundowners1. Just send your address, or you could send it to me in Discord. And then I'll get it to you. Yeah, the square. So the numbers thing on giving stuff away. I know when you have a bigger audience, you kind of have to do that, or use the night bot deal that Risman talks about. So I know it's going to change as our audience gets bigger and we're consistent with when we stream. But for right now, that's the cool thing, because we're going to get to the point where everybody has won stuff. So who else has not won stuff? Mars Needs Max. Have you won anything? Let me know. Let me know, Mars Needs Max, if you have won anything before, and if you haven't, then Nikki gross.
Ooh, I'm looking at this pint glass. This thing is incredible.
Okay, so Mars Needs Max, you want the House Stark pint glass? Nikki, what do you want? You know, all you gotta do is just tell me what you want.
What you really, really want.
Yeah. I mean, you're the only female in our stream, so you're gonna get preference. Marzi's Max, you got the House Stark pint glass.
I do hear that Daimyo is planning a transition soon.
So Nikki, did you see the stuff that I was doing the giveaway? Let me just show it again real quick. Because I had more than just the pint glasses. Did you see the Iron Throne?
I thought the McFarlane set was cool.
So let me show you the McFarlane set. It was pretty cool.
Super
Nikki
nerdy,
didn't get to see this, in case anybody else didn't get to see this. So, pretty cool. So I bought 2 of these. Pretty cool.
Who's that? Is that Joffrey?
That's Joffrey, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I was from earlier when we were talking about actors
cool.
doing.
That is cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Did he do a whole line on Game of Thrones? Did McFarlane do a line? Like, does he have all the other?
I don't know,
characters?
but I'm going to find out.
I bet he does. Usually he does. Usually he does like a whole line of something. So he probably has.
So Let me see. Does it show how many I bought?
Yeah, right there. The number in the bottom right hand corner.
Oh, I bought 2 of them.
McFarlane.
Yeah, I bought 2 of them. Yep. So I got to have one for me.
Can
So
you
Nikki,
send me
that
the
was
link?
that was the McFarlane set, which I thought was pretty cool. That I need to look up Sterling. We need to find out.
I bet he does, because he always does. Like McFarlane does different themes, and if he did that set, he probably has a Jon Snow, Daenerys, Jaime. He's probably got everybody.
He says that's cool. I don't really use glasses. Use a giant water bottle. Hey, that's when outside of water and Powerade and stuff like that. When you get to be a really, really professional drinker, and you just have one of those big Yetis.
Yeah, what do you drink your beer in?
Yeah, and you just have the big straw, and you're sitting there getting slammed off of Long Island Ice.
She made lines wide.
Yeah. Homemade wine or whatever you're drinking, but yeah. So those were some of those were the main topics tonight. We wanted to cover Commonwealth Hill, Varys. The comments around. Obviously, he was not happy with how it ended. I love anything having to do with the Direwolves. I'm hoping that's something we see at Winterfell with Krieg and Stark. Now for those that are more experts, I'm trying to remember, what did Ned say about the last time a Direwolf was spotted near Winterfell? It's possible that we could see Direwolves around Cregan. I don't think so, but it's possible. Trying to remember what Ned said. I want to go back and watch that scene, because he talks about how long it's been since the Direwolves have been spotted near Winterfell, right?
200 years.
Did he say 200 years?
Yeah, no Direwolf have been spotted south of the wall, even in the Stark's lands of the north, in over 200 years.
Okay.
Breezy's
saying
1,000
1,000 years. So that right there, even if it's not 1,000, even if it's 200, we're not going to see Direwolves, because it's 170 years before the events of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I think it's 130 right now, and Robert's Rebellion takes place in like 279.
Okay, because when Jaehaerys takes over, it's probably 170. So okay. Yeah, so 200. So we're not going to see Direwolves around Cregan Stark. They're smart enough. Ron Kondo won't mess that continuity up. That won't happen. So that's the latest. We've got scenes around Aemon Targaryen and Larys Strong that have been filmed. The shoot is going on. They're more than halfway done. There's even with what's going on with the strike. And I saw that they went back to the table in the United States to meet, and now they're talking about healthcare.
It just look like they're making a lot of.
They're not making progress. It's and look, the studios, we can sit there and vilify them. For us, that are
there's been a lot of bad TV though, a lot of bad writing, and I think they need to use this to purge some of those writers.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of stuff that's been awful. I'm sorry.
I actually, even though I didn't want to do it, I went and watched the second half of The Witcher, which I don't recommend.
And The Witcher sucked. After the second season, it was hard for me to get through the second season. It was so bad I didn't even watch it.
And I'm not even going to cover the article from the producer who talked about how they had to change the story for The Witcher based on American Western sensibilities. Get out of here with that nonsense.
No, it's nothing like seeing a fantasy world and it looks like modern America.
Ridiculous.
Kills it. Destroys it.
Oppenheimer's made almost $600 million. It's a 3-hour movie where nobody punches anybody. It's a character study.
But
it's selling out.
When you go
American and Western sensibilities.
When you go see like a fantasy movie though, like do you care about? You don't want it to look like the world you're in today.
No,
like that's why. That's why.
I don't
understand that.
That's
they don't
why.
get it. And anybody who has a job that's saying that, I'm okay if they just stay gone.
Yeah,
Well,
just
that's like what the Pixar guy Lasseter used to say, that there's a difference between realism and a believability. That what you want when you make a movie is you want believability. You don't want realism because we already live in the real world. We don't
When they
want to
got
see
rid of
more
him,
of
they
this.
tanked. When they got
Yep.
rid of Lasseter, they tanked. That was their biggest mistake.
yeah, it's and don't get me started. The guy, the director of Haunted Mansion, the person that the showrunner or whatever for Secret Invasion. It's all these excuses when you put out crap.
I
When
don't
you put
mind.
out garbage.
I don't mind watching these people starve. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
mean, like they've had so much crap, so much stuff that should have been geared towards me that I should have been interested in that I have
Absolutely.
no interest in because they've done a terrible job. And I have, to me, this is hilarious. to
Robert
me.
Meyer Burnett, like he made a good point on one of his streams about a week ago when he said, you know,
Marsh needs Max. You're right. She said also they make everything from the past seem like people were acting like people today. I hate that.
Ah,
Cannot stand that.
right.
Or when they start talking like they're from the day, it kills the immersion.
right. Yeah, Breezy, they act like people don't struggle every day. Yeah, welcome to the world outside of entertainment. But Robert Meyer Burnett talked about with all this stuff with the strike, he said, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people in these jobs working for these studios and writer rooms and showrunners that have no business being in charge of a series or a movie or a TV series that's not limited, or like there's a lot of people that are not qualified. They're just not qualified, and that's why you get shots from Obi-Wan where the cinema, you go, what is going on with the cinema? This looks like it's shot on the back of a building somewhere. Like,
But how does that? We talk about Obi-Wan, and every time you mention Obi-Wan, I'll bring it up. How does that Princess Leia, young Leia chase scene, make it into the show? Like, how do you have somebody who's getting millions of dollars? Like, there's tons of people in that industry that don't need to be in that industry anymore.
well, because there's nobody there's not enough qualified people in the writing and in the acting and the filming and the producing to be able to have a check and balance to go, you know what? We just had Flea run across the woods and trip chasing this little girl. This looks really bad. This looks really stupid.
See, this sounds
and just cut it out.
So let me give you an example. So we have,
but they didn't want to put Luke. That was part of the deal. They didn't want to put Luke in Obi-Wan. And to tie this back to the House of Dragon, Game of Thrones, and all this stuff, which is what we're covering, like when you get over there with those crews in the UK are the best. They're the best in the business.
Yeah, they are really good.
So they go on location. They work their butts off. So the filming looks good. The actors, I'm not going to say the British actors are better than American actors. I mean, there's great actors on both sides.
I think they're better I think they're better for those type of shows.
Maybe.
It's going to be hard for many Americans to fit into Game of Thrones.
But Secret Invasion had really good actors, and it was a horrible show because the person running it
didn't even watch
was not qualified, didn't know the first thing about Marvel. And then when they did start to put out stuff around all these powers we're going to be given, Kevin Feige says, yeah, go for it. Well, Kevin Feige needs to be gone. Kevin
Feige's a yes man. Everybody thought he was doing. Kevin Feige was riding coattails.
Yeah, and
he's
so
a yes man.
We've been, in the Game of Thrones world. Yes, people were upset after season 8. There's no excuses, but the reason why the last 2 seasons were the way they were was because Dan and Dave, the negotiations went south with HBO, and they wanted out. And then you had, instead of them keeping it going, the actors, their contracts were up and everybody wanted out or wanted to end it. And they did. One, I think that was a mistake. I think they should have brought in new showrunners. We now know Ryan Condal could have done it because look what he did with House of the Dragon. So I think they screwed up. But I think that they got 70% of the audience potentially somewhere around there back. Looking at the numbers, they got a majority of the audience back for House of the Dragon. But
you can lose it real quick.
You can lose it. And in season 2, you can lose it. But they're bringing in Alan Taylor to direct the Battle of Rook's Rest episode, I believe, and some others. And
Sapochnik's gone.
Yeah, and Sapochnik trying to get his wife.
Yeah.
Isn't he usually? He was good though, wasn't he?
He was okay, but
I think it depends on who you ask.
Yeah, he didn't do good with the Battle of Winterfell.
Wait, what all did he do though? Who did the Battle of the Bastards?
Sapochnik.
Yeah, I mean that was the best episode in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I mean, like sometimes
Yeah,
it
it's talking
But
about
that still has in that filming the Battle of the Bastards, D&D is still sitting there going, we need the best thing possible so that we can enter into these negotiations at the highest level.
Yeah,
So they were still controlling Sapochnik.
What's funny to me though is these strikes though that we were talking about, they're upset about AI, right? That's what they're worried about.
They're upset about residuals from streaming, and that model has changed and they're upset about AI.
But have you ever looked up online? They have
in the writers' rooms.
They have tons of articles you can find. It's artificial AI casting, and they do it for The Witcher, Game of Thrones, everything. And the AI will create a character based off what they read from the book. And AI does a flawless job of it, a perfect job. If they can get to the point where they can actually make that creation act, or even if they use an actor and then put the AI image on top of them, I'm all for it. I don't care. I don't care how many people it makes unemployed.
I know, and I'm a little bit different than you in that I do want to see them get the best deal. But at the same time,
most of them are
I want to answer Mr. Anderson talking about, I don't think they're unqualified.
Well, most of them, the biggest ones are.
I just don't think projects get any time and care to iron out those kind of wrinkles. The second part of that is true, but there are individuals, and all you have to do is read their interviews. I would never know other than just knowing the series is crap, and then go, well, that could have been because of corporate involvement. Disney put their finger on them, or Lucasfilm. That's true. But then when they open their mouth in an interview and they start saying things that are completely idiotic, and then you realize they didn't know what they were doing. So, and I'll highlight
how many people
Secret Invasion is an example of that.
And Marvel and Disney, for example, tons of people, they fail upwards. They'll have a series that doesn't do well, and then they get another series or a movie, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. Because
look, I think it's a balance. AI is coming. You can't stop it, but there needs to be some kind of rules in place in this industry, just like every industry. And then people being paid correctly. I like the Taylor Sheridan view of screw these writers' rooms. You're bringing a bunch of people, and 80% of them or more don't even know what they're walking into. I'm not a fan of Star Trek. I'm not a fan of Star Wars. I'm not a fan of Song of Ice and Fire. It's like,
if you're not a fan of it, you shouldn't be doing it.
Think about it like this.
Agreed.
I'm not saying you can't write something really well, but let's say you've never read the books and they hired you tomorrow to write for Aegon's Conquest.
Yeah.
And remember what the girl who played Reva, and I feel bad for her because they threw her into the fire on Obi-Wan. I think it was her that said that she had not seen any of it. You go, well, okay, that's not as necessary as the writer or director because you're an actor.
They had an agenda for that character, and that's what they went with. I mean, it is what it is.
But not knowing anything about the content and the lore, you're set up to step into a huge pile when you're writing on this stuff because you don't care about the continuity. So you write something, and then you have all these fans go, that just screwed up the whole 2 or 3 movies around Civil War that you just did. And so one of the things that House of the Dragon, which is the only series springing from Game of Thrones, because we haven't had a movie yet. We could have a Mandalorian movie. The rumors now are that they could be doing a Mando movie instead of season 4. Could we have a Game of Thrones type movie? Could Aegon's Conquest be a movie? I would love to see on the big screen a very contained story.
I'd rather see it. Could Aegon's Conquest be done in a movie though?
Yeah, Aegon's Conquest. You guys think Aegon's Conquest could be done?
I think it would have to be a miniseries.
Yeah. Maybe, but it could. I mean, a long movie or trilogy. I don't know. I mean, you keep the cost down, you manage the cost, and you tell it as a series of movies like you would with Harry Potter. You could do it. I don't think you could do that with Dunk and Egg, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, those novellas. That's,
Mr. Anderson,
yeah, that's a piece of what I mean by the core. Isn't part of the equation when you hire people who aren't even aware of the lore.
You're hiring people that don't care. Look at it. That's what ruined The Witcher.
That is true.
You hire people on The Witcher that didn't care about it. And The Witcher, those were good books. The games were amazing, which those take place after the books, but they destroyed that. And that could have been huge. That could have been Game of Thrones level. That could have been huge.
He fought with them in season 2. He started in season 2. He's fighting with him about staying true to the lore.
Oh, Henry.
Yeah.
Well, that's why people like him, because he cares.
Yeah.
He's a nerd. Like,
and when he comes,
he actually cares about it.
Whether he ends up playing Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four, or he ends up playing Aegon, or he ends up playing.
I think he's gonna be busy with Warhammer. He's not gonna be.
And he's got Warhammer
I agree,
coming out.
but him as
Could be
Doctor
huge.
Doom,
I think we should cover that. That would be a big
that would
deal.
be cool.
You know why I think he could be Doctor Doom?
Why?
Or somebody in X-Men?
Why?
Because when he stepped out of The Witcher and when the Superman stuff came out that he was not going to be Superman anymore, he showed up to a couple of Disney red carpets.
Oh, really? Well, maybe.
And he hasn't been a Disney guy, right? So that usually these things.
You don't want to. He needs to be someone relevant, not some dumb, no-name character. Part of the problem with Marvel is they're focused on characters nobody cares about.
He would be a badass Doctor Doom.
He could be. I still think they should do Nikolai from Game of Thrones. I think
Sterling mentioned Jamie Lannister being Doctor Doom. That would be cool. But yeah,
they need someone that is Germanic. Is what they need, because he's from Latvia, right?
Nicola.
No, Dr. Doom. He's from.
Oh, Dr. Doom.
The name of his.
It's a fictional.
Yeah.
But it's like a
so
Eastern European nation. But you just have to get that. Like, he's arrogant, he's cocky, he's
and by the way,
you need to get all that right, which he did. Jamie, he played that when he played Jamie Lannister.
Marsney, Latveria.
Yeah,
Latveria. Doom would be like a Thanos level.
Avenger's always on top of it.
Yeah, it was
Marcy's Max. Don't forget to send me either via Discord or to Sundowners One on Twitter to get your address to send to you. Yeah, so I'm going to say it over and over again until they prove it wrong, that there are lessons to be learned with Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and all things Westeros. Right? There's lessons around how to treat the fandom. There's lessons around when you have everybody rolling the same direction, the cast, the writing, the showrunners, and then there's lessons around what happened with season 7, season 8 that were not good. Still, it's a huge IP, and they've done. Think about Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon.
Mr. Anderson's scared of them touching Dr. Doom. Why is
well,
that?
Listen, they've screwed it up multiple times.
He's gonna be a non-binary midget or something.
So, I lost my train of thought with that. And you could probably see my face got but at the end of the day, Game of Thrones provides you lessons, and the lessons of, even with, Game of Thrones has gotten 90% of everything right. Season 7, season 8, we know what happened, but think about the other things.
They didn't stick the landing.
They didn't stick the landing on it, but they brought 70+% of the fans
that's
back.
a problem. But that's something that HBO has done often. Like, HBO has great shows, but they have messed up the endings
on all the great
on
ones.
Almost all their great shows. Rome,
they just screwed up.
Sopranos was
Succession.
Mixed. I didn't see that.
Succession did not stick the landing at all.
And they have these amazing shit. Like, their shows are on another level when it comes to quality, but they always screw up the ending.
Yeah.
Why is that? Do you think?
I don't know. I think it's like they're never prepared for their success.
Well, they're not prepared for it to end.
Well, so they do them, and then like within 2 seasons, they're the biggest shows on TV. Then all the actors want raises.
They want raises, and
so
HBO's notorious.
So then it destroys their budget, and then they have to just rush it to finish it.
And they're notorious for not paying.
And that's they don't ever expect it to be as big and successful as it is.
Felicity, 6 Feet Under might have been the best ending. Breaking Bad, kind of.
I never saw 6 Feet.
6 Feet Under. That's where our guy came from that played Dexter.
What about The Wire? Did that end well?
That was before my time.
The Wire, yeah. I'm not. I don't put The Wire in like a top 5. Like, there's some people. I'm friends with people that think The Wire is the best television that's ever been put on ever.
Well, that's like Family Guy made that joke about The Wire and Breaking Bad, because in the early 2000s it was The Wire. The Wire. You'll have to watch The Wire. And then around 2013 it became you have to watch Breaking Bad. And
Yeah.
so
Well,
Peter goes,
Breaking Bad was AMC, but
yeah. So
yeah,
Peter
I mean,
goes and turns on the TV, and there's a he's like,
Boardwalk Empire.
I'm gonna watch Breaking Bad, and there's that
I watched Boardwalk Empire. I can't remember how it ended.
Yeah, it was good. Nucky died in the end. That my problem with Boardwalk Empire is the characters I cared about most died early on, and it just wasn't as fun to watch. It was also based off a historical figure, and his ending was not accurate.
Nucky Thompson?
Yeah, but his ending was not accurate at all.
Not accurate. Yeah.
So
he died broke. He died broke in real life.
Yeah, and well, he went to prison. He died broke, and then in the show, he was like murdered by his old henchman's son.
Yeah. Okay. Deadwood. I watched all of Deadwood. I loved it. Loved it. It was must watch TV when it came on for me. Loved Deadwood, and they had to go back to it. I think what happens is HBO, the shows get going, and then they become juggernauts.
It's cool. They did that movie.
And people want more money.
They did that movie years later that finished it.
Yeah,
remember, like years later.
Yeah. When the Dakotas became states and the lawlessness had to go, and so it
but like their production values and their acting, everything on HBO is
badass
level.
Deadwood.
Oh yeah,
just
I love Ian McShane.
And I'm trying to think of the girl, the blonde-haired girl in it. She was great.
She was in
not
Fear the Walking Dead.
No, not that one. The other girl. There was another girl that was in it. But I mean, it's Game of Thrones didn't stick the landing, but look at other things like Lucasfilm and Marvel Phase 5. Like there's Lucasfilm, you can make a case that they haven't gotten anything right since Disney bought them.
No, they haven't. See, that first movie did real well, and then
Star Wars Rebels was people like Star Wars Rebels. It did not get good ratings,
but people were pumped up. They were just so pumped up for Star Wars for Episode 7.
Yeah,
and then by the end of it, it was just.
And then you had Mandalorian. Their high point was Mandalorian. First 2 seasons, and season 2, you could probably take 2 episodes and not watch the rest.
Yeah, ended on such a high note on season 2, and people had hope again. And
Rogue One was good. Rogue One,
but I'll say this:
Mando season 1 were.
I'll say this: like I enjoyed Rogue One, but if you take that Vader scene out of the movie, how good is that movie?
I really like
Vader scene.
I think
Vader
it's the
scene
best
makes that movie to me.
I think Rogue One's the best thing Disney has done with Star Wars.
Would you think it'd be cool? Would you think it'd be as good without that Vader scene, though?
I mean, not as good, but I think it goes from being like
I think it goes
an 8.5 to an 8.
I think it would go from like I'd give it an 8.5, and without that Vader scene, it's a 6.
Oh wow!
I mean, it's
a big swing.
Yeah, it's a big swing for me.
Hey, Caleb, I need to make sure Marcy's Max gets the Discord. Usually, I don't know. I'm looking at my Discord. I don't know. I'm usually on X-Wings, Hangar Bay, the Hangar Bay. You could go on X-Wings Hangar Bay and find me or send me a message.
Yeah. So I can't invite anyone anymore. But if you go to X-Wings YouTube page, you'll see the link to the Discord there, and then you can DM him through that.
And Marcy's Max, I'm on there. I'm on Twitter if you want to send something. You may not be on Twitter, but and then I'm always in the X-Wings Hangar Bay. You can find me there. So I'm on Echo Base member. I'm an Echo Base member too as well. So, but so thinking about all the things that they've gotten right in George R. R. Martin's world, it's 90% they've gotten right. So I trust them.
That might be a little
80%.
Yeah.
So, but now people don't go to see Disney because they don't trust them. They're Marvel.
Well, Disney used to be a name.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy. Twitter. That's fine. Marcy's Max. Just send me a message on Twitter. Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it would have made $1 billion, but I think they ended up around 850 because a bunch of people. That movie made like 119 million, and I will wrap up here and be done in just a second. But that movie made like 119 million the opening weekend when it opened, and you said, well, 119 million is not bad. It should have been 200 million or more, 230. But
Well, the
People
Disney,
don't trust Disney and Marvel, and that cost Guardians until people came home and said it's actually pretty good.
well,
You ought to check it out.
Disney was a premium brand though, associated with family entertainment. It's kind of
They're not now.
It's not people. I think have actively avoid them now. At
Mhm.
least a large portion of their audience.
Yeah, Venger Dorn was badly handled on the TV show. You know, yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't get a sense of Dorn at all.
What they actually do in the book
Unbent,
would have been
unbroken.
so much better.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing to get excited about. Venger is Aegon the Conqueror. We will see Dorn. We will see Dorn
In 2030, we'll see Aegon the Conqueror.
Well, yeah, that's as we wrap up. We won't wrap up on bad news, but like I think right now we're looking at Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's probably going to be 2025 because they're even though the strike doesn't impact
get handled
England, but it does impact the writing that's going on here.
Yeah.
So and George is not really involved doing anything right now because he's lockstep with the strike. So, but you know what? HBO, Casey Bloys, they're pretty good at not rolling out something until it's ready. But also don't be shocked if Casey Bloys ends up somewhere else soon. Because
where's he at? Who's he? Sorry.
He's at HBO. He's
They're actually kind of turning things around a little bit though, aren't
well,
they?
they've had layoffs. They've cut people.
They've had some profitable quarters, haven't they? Like they've
but
cut some stuff
there
they
are
needed to
some
cut.
studios. There are some studios out there that they're going to need new leadership. And Casey Bloys has a pretty damn good track record.
Kathleen Kennedy's not going anywhere if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
There's some studios.
If that's what you're getting at. It's not happening.
There's gonna be a reckoning with a lot of different studios. Not just talking about like Kathy Kennedy, because she's getting paid through 2024, regardless. But anyway, Seth Apple, thanks for joining us. We're about to wrap now. But Casey Bloys is in charge right now, and as long as he's there, they're not putting out. The guy did a pilot for The Long Night and said it wasn't good enough. They didn't put it out.
Yeah.
And so I have faith between Ryan Condal and
they shelved it, didn't they?
It's wiped out. Yeah. So that had Naomi Watts in it. So I think that between George R. R. Martin spending all his time on these shows and not writing, which that goes to Nikki, and then Ryan Condal and Casey Bloys and the crew at HBO, I think that this just gives them time. And if you think they're not doing things behind the scenes, they are, right? They're looking at this time right now. They're going, yeah, nobody's developing anything, wink, wink.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so I think we're going to get House of the Dragon in 2024. We're going to get it in 2024. And then we're going to get Night of the Seven Kingdoms in 2025. And then that'll tide us over. And maybe sometime in between then we might get a book from someone. But at this point, let's nobody hold their breath until it happens. But hopefully you guys had a great time. We want to just kind of jump into Westeros and talk about some of the things that we saw recently in the news from on location, from actors from Game of Thrones, different what if possibilities, and give some stuff away. That's always fun. And sorry for the technical difficulties as we got started. But we appreciate you guys, and we will be back. We've got a Marvel Fantastic Four video coming out tomorrow, I believe, and then we'll probably stream. We'll put a thumbnail out probably on Tuesday for a stream, either Wednesday or Thursday. Sterling,
yes,
around Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll let you guys know, and but we're gonna start to ratchet up, doing more videos, at least 2 a week. And then at least one stream, if not 2 a week as well. And we appreciate all the support. We're growing and pretty excited about some things we're doing. And maybe in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some things we'll be able to show on the set. You guys always see us like this. Maybe we'll be able to do a wide view. And Sterling won't be
cool things coming.
He won't be sitting in his chair. He'll be playing stuff. So, but thank you guys for joining us tonight. And hit subscribe if you hadn't already subscribed, and leave us a comment, hit the like button, and hit that bell for notifications for our videos. And we appreciate it. And TCB.
Thanks for having me on, guys.